Hey guys, my name is Misalignment, and today I'm excited to say that we've finally gotten our very first look at the two new operators that are coming to Rainbow Six Siege, and a hint at some of the big changes that we can also be expecting with this new season. The first big thing that everyone is talking about right now is that it looks like the defensive operator has access to some sort of shield. Now, if this is true, this of course would be the first time defense has ever had access to this kind of operator, and would completely change the way that we play the game. Not only could this be a great tool at just blocking doorways, kind of like Monty does right now, making it much more difficult for the offensive team to get through said doorway to plant the diffuser, but also this could be an awesome way at retaking the diffuser if they're able to plant the objective. If you and your team need to get back into that room, having a physical shield and someone who can get in there and make callouts as to where the enemy is would be a huge boon for the defensive team. Now, the reason why I'm very skeptical about this though is for one big reason, and that is the fact that in the past, Ubisoft has said, I think on numerous occasions, that they have no plans of adding in more shield operators until they fix the inherent problems with shields overall. Now, this doesn't completely rule it out, but unless Ubisoft has plans with this next update to also redesign and fix all these problems with the other shield operators, I just don't see this happening. If I had to take a guess though, I would imagine that this new operator is going to be all about shoring up your defenses and making it much more difficult for offense to get into specific rooms. We talked about this in a previous video, but there was a leak a while back, and so take this with a grain of salt. It wasn't confirmed by Ubisoft, but there was an indication that we were going to have a defensive operator that was going to be able to block holes or reinforce holes once they were opened. And so if Thermite opens something up on the objective, instead of just having to accept the fact that the enemy now has this great line of sight onto the room, you would be able to, what I assumed, throw a gadget, maybe a foam hardening device, and then the hole would disappear. It would be pretty soft, so people could probably just use a breaching charge to go on through, but that's what I was speculating. Now though, this may be the way that Ubisoft goes about it. And so instead of throwing a device, you literally have someone that has this gigantic shield that they can whip out, place it in front or in that hole, and then you can block that access route off. Now, if this is true, I have a hard time seeing how this is really going to be all that viable. If Thermite really did just open up a hole, he's probably watching from that angle. And so as soon as you mosey on up with your shield, try to place it on down, it's probably going to be a free, easy kill for him. And so I just don't see how that dynamic is going to work. Now, maybe every once in a while, if let's say you take out the Thermite directly after that, you can then walk on over and shore up your defenses. Like, that could really be a game changer. But usually a lot of the times, if someone like Thermite does open up a wall like that, he's got other teammates to be able to back him up. And so I just don't see that really being all that viable. On top of that, do you really want to run the risk of walking out in the open and placing this thing down? I don't think many people would really be on board with that idea. This is the reason why I thought that this hole sealer operator would have access to some throwable gadget that they could use from a distance for this very reason. And so all in all, I cannot wait to see how this new shield operator is going to perform in this upcoming season. It could be a brand new shield defensive operator that we've never seen before. I truly think that's going to be a game changer. It could be my idea where it's able to block up holes, or it literally just could be a better deployable shield that you can see through. Only time will tell at this point, but I cannot wait. The other operator on our left here appears to have access to some sort of blowtorch. Now, this also falls in line with the leak that we learned a while back, and if I had to guess, this is Ubisoft's way at finally giving us another operator on offense that is able to get through reinforced walls. If I had to speculate, this is going to be someone who can actually completely ignore a mute jammer and ban its batteries, because it's just a blowtorch. You don't have to place it on the wall. It can't really be jammed or shocked off. If that is true, this is going to make certain objectives a lot more interesting. Now, some of you are probably thinking right now, wait a second, if Bandit and Mute do not counter this guy whatsoever, why in the world would you ever want to play as Hibana and Thermites? That's their biggest weakness. If you don't need to worry about that counter anymore, isn't it just going to make them obsolete? Well, if I had to take a guess, he's also going to come with some healthy drawbacks. The first one that I can think of is that it's probably going to take him a very long time to get through said reinforcements. I think it'd be amazing if this new operator had the ability to make how large or small of holes that they desired. So if you wanted to make a quick little peek hole onto the objective, you could do so and it'd be really quick. But if you want to make a massive hole to be able to see and get through and have your teammates push on in, that's going to take a significant amount of time. And so instead of being able just to simply play as Thermite, planting your charge on a wall and then opening on up, you're going to have to sit there for a while, which is going to leave you really vulnerable. Defense can react to the situation. Because it's now taken a long time, your teammates, your anchors can call out, hey roamers, we need some help over here, giving them plenty of opportunity to make their way back to the objective. But on top of that, that also allows said roamers to maybe take advantage of the situation and take you out while you're going through that process. And so all in all, I cannot wait to see how these two new operators perform in reality. I really think they're going to be changing up the game, especially off of what we've seen so far, but only time will tell. Now, that isn't the only significant change that we can be expecting with this new season. One thing that Ubisoft has been working on for what seems like forever now is the weapon misalignment problem. You guys may have noticed that sometimes where you're aiming isn't exactly where your round lands. And so sometimes you can be aiming at the chest of an enemy, especially when you're playing at Sledge, and for some reason you get a headshot. There's some moments when you're literally aiming directly at their head, but you don't get a headshot whatsoever. That's because the round is soaring directly above them. That is that misalignment. And so one thing that they've been really working hard on is changing the recoil on a lot of these weapons to try to solve this issue. And so if this is the way that Ubisoft has solved this problem, I have a suspicion that this might be one of the biggest changes that we've ever experienced in Rainbow Six Siege, because it changes the core mechanics of all of the weapons. Now, I don't think it's going to be as crazy as what we saw back with the predictable recoil patterns many months ago. I don't think it's going to be that dramatic. But now, as certain operators, because their recoils are going to feel slightly different, maybe some of your favorite weapons are no longer going to be your favorites anymore because of these slight adjustments. It's kind of hard to say, but that might be one thing that you're going to have to experiment with this upcoming patch. One addition that I was not expecting whatsoever, though, and the thing I think a lot of people are going to be ecstatic about, is that Ubisoft is introducing an operator idle pick. They don't go into details, but it's pretty obvious what this is. They're going to be introducing some sort of system where if you go AFK or you alt-tab, for example, because you got a message and then you alt-tab back in, well, instead of having recruit as your character, they may have some sort of system in place where either it just randomly assigns you an operator, or based off of your preferences, maybe they're going to add in operator preferences, it will select your operator based off of that and what your other defensive or offensive teammates have selected during that round. Like I said, a lot of people have been wanting to have this introduced into the game. Life happens. Sometimes you need to go to the bathroom, sometimes you get a phone call, and while you're not AFK the entire time, you did miss that operator selection, and bringing in a recruit is putting yourself and your team at a pretty big disadvantage. It isn't the end of the world because, let's be honest, recruit rush is a thing for a reason. It can be very viable, but a lot of times you need to have those operator-specific gadgets. You need to be able to bring that utility to your team, and so to have in a new system like this that will be able to select that for you if you do need to go AFK, I think could be a really cool addition. The final major thing that we're getting with this DLC is the Hereford base rework. We saw some pictures of this teased a couple of months ago, actually it's more like half a year, and it is going to be a significant difference. This isn't going to be something small like Clubhouse where they rearrange some of the rooms. This is going to be an overhaul of the very core of the map. Hereford and casual can be a lot of fun, but it's not all that competitive. There's only one staircase to make your way up or down. There's a lot of destructibility. Basically, every single wall is destructible, and the result of that is that it can be almost impossible for defense to hold onto these objectives, and this is one of the major reasons why it's no longer in ranks. And so I'm crossing my fingers that everything they've learned, and especially with the philosophy with Villa, they've got their core philosophy on how they're going to be building these new maps, and so I'm hopeful that this is going to improve it to the point where we finally get to see Hereford base back in ranked. They've stated that it is still going to keep the same theme. It's still going to feel like the old map, but a lot more improved. And I'm hoping they're going to be able to deliver on that. And so all in all, it seems like this next coming patch is going to be a big one. The 2 new operators look like they're going to be a lot of fun and change up the way that we play the game in a meaningful way. The Hereford base rework looks fantastic. I like what they're doing with these patch notes. And so August 16th and August 17th cannot come soon enough for the big reveal. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Are you excited for the rework? Are you really looking forward to the new idle pick operator mechanic? Give me your guys' thoughts down below. But yep, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.